All right.
Ricky's not even in the show notes yet, so I'm just gonna go ahead and message him that we're gonna. All right. Hey everybody, welcome to the Three Cast for July 6th, 2016. I'm your host, Matthew Weber. I'm joined by Mr. Vincent Bowie.
Hey, what's up?
Ricky should be joining us here in a few minutes, supposedly. All right, so normally we talk about a movie of the week. We just pick one, then we review it and talk about it. This week we're going to actually talk about E3 2016, which happened a couple of weeks ago. So E3 is the annual one of the annual conferences that deals with gaming. It's the big one. What's the other one? GDC, is that the
Yeah,
other
Game
big
Developers
gaming conference?
Conference. Yep.
All right. So E3 is the one that's more focused on consumers, and it's usually where we see trailers of games that won't come out for the next 10 years.
hmm
It's usually the way that works. Sometimes we get lucky and see ones that will come out later this year, but we've usually the games that you want to see the most won't ever come out. I mean, there's horror stories. What was the one that you were mentioning earlier, Vince?
Last Guardian. It was originally announced for like PS3, like I think 19. Sorry, not 19. 2010 or something like that. 2009 maybe. And I think they again showed a more updated trailer. So it started off as like PS3. Now it's in PS4. Now we're going to PS 4.5. So hey, we'll see it in like a generation and a half of consoles. Good job.
Yeah, they also did the Star Wars Battlefront or whatever it was. That was like that too, where they announced it way ahead of time.
Well, they announced that for a couple of reasons, though. But that was because a few years ago, Disney bought LucasArts and
Right,
Star
but
Wars, so
they
that's why
announced
they announced it.
they announced that they were going to do a game before that though, but they kept having problems with the studio or whatever, and ended up
Oh,
going to
Battlefront, yeah, Battlefront 3. That's
it
good.
ended up
Hey,
going from.
Rick. Hey,
Hey,
what's up, Rick?
oh my God, Ricky Williams is on the podcast. People, it's been a few weeks.
Hey, is
I'm
that your new
surprised.
place, Rick? Is that your new place?
Yeah, yeah.
Holy crap! Nice,
Basement of the new place.
nice, good gray color scheme. Good call.
Yeah. All right,
Still
so
living out of boxes.
all right, so we're just getting started here. Ricky, you haven't actually mentioned anything. So what I thought we would do is we'll talk. We're going to discuss the console first. So we're what 3 years now into the current console generation, 2 or 3 years.
Yep.
All right,
That's
so
true.
what's interesting is normally a console generation, at least the last console generation, lasted almost 10 years. This one seems to be petering out after 3 or 4 years. So Microsoft announced two new consoles. One of them is basically the Xbox One, just slimmer and it has some increased specs. Like it'll now handle some version of 4K. Um, so that's the Xbox One S, which is a mouthful. And then they announced Project Scorpio, which they didn't really announce anything. So we know nothing about it other than it has 6 teraflops of graphics power, and it will, which is supposed to allow it to do true 4K gaming, and it will support VR headsets. And it comes out next year. That's all we know about. We don't know what it looks like. We don't know how much it costs. Oh, we know that it will allow all games to be cross-compatible. We do know that
Yeah,
as well.
you
So,
know that's BS. They've never been able to successfully do that. You and I both know that, whether it's Xbox or whether it's Sony. Even if they've been able to do that backwards compatibility stuff, it's only been for a limited number of titles.
yeah.
And then
You remember when between the Xbox One and the Xbox 360, that if you wanted to go get a backwards compatible, you actually had to like know the code or whatever. There was like a little code or whatever on the games, like OC or something.
oh
Uh,
no, man, that's old school. Yeah, that's really old school,
well,
man.
yeah, I mean that was the original Xbox or whatever, but still, um, hopefully that's true that they don't. I mean, they're saying that all games, right? But you're right. They've never done that before.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter because I mean, I still haven't bought the Xbox One or the PS4, so I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter to me. But to people who just bought the consoles, this seems kind of terrible for them. You know what I mean?
I gotcha.
'Cause, I mean, Xbox, the consoles are where I mean, I suppose you do spend more money on games because I mean they're like $60 a piece or whatever. But still, I mean $700 on a console or whatever is still very pricey. Especially when you know a year from now, release or whatever, it'll go down. So,
Yeah, but I think again, coming back to the whole backwards compatibility, why would you as like Sony or Microsoft go, yeah, you know what, buy us new console, and instead of buying all these new games, which we have licenses with all these third parties to agreements, go and delve back into the bargain bins and play all the the greatest hits of 2015 or 2014 that are like now $20 or $15, and it's not profitable for them anyways, right?
well, we were talking about this before we started, Vince, about 4K, the size of 4K videos. Basically, if they're really going to start pushing the 4K stuff, they're going to be totally abandoning then, like their downloadable content system.
Yep.
Because I mean, nobody can download those things. I mean, unless it's going to be over a period of like a month or whatever. Because it would take me a month to download something 4K, and they have like the Xbox Store, the PS4, like the PS4 store or whatever has all those good deals they have every month or whatever.
Yep.
If those came through in 4K, that would limit the amount of things that you would actually do. Plus, I mean, they're only going to limit the hard drive size to like 1 terabyte or something like that. So you're not going to have as many games like that. That's going to be a big problem with all this 4K hype. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I can imagine that in the future, because I got my PlayStation 4 set up so that like if there's any upgrades or anything, it automatically downloads stuff. And of course, I have one of the original PlayStation 4s, so it's only got like what, half a terabyte of space.
Right.
But man, it's like every other week it just goes, yo man, erase some stuff because your games. And I'm like, and you know that I'm not like one of those guys that plays like a billion games. I got like maybe a dozen games on the console, and it's like half a terabyte, man. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's gonna be worse with 4K. It's just gonna not good. Anyways, we don't know anything else about Project
Yeah, but
Scorpio.
even with 4K stuff, right? I mean, what are they gonna go to, Blu-ray discs? And then imagine the loading time. I don't know.
Well, yeah, it's gonna a lot of those games that are huge. Like, can you imagine like a thing like Skyrim or whatever that has like 500 hours of gameplay supposedly on one single disc in 4K? It's just not gonna happen. It's gonna have to be 2 discs.
I feel like it's gonna be like either it's gonna be a disc, but when you put it in, it'll need to copy like half of the stuff to the hard drive so it can buffer it while it's playing or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even a disc, even like a disc for Blu-ray can only hold like what? I don't need how many gigs, right?
Yeah, but they got the double density, which kind of went nowhere. So, I mean,
maybe they could go through. I mean, wouldn't it be hilarious if they come back with like cartridges or something like that?
I was just thinking.
Because I mean, there's rumors like that. So Nintendo didn't announce anything in terms of console this year. I don't think.
Oh yeah, they did.
There was the NX.
Did they?
Yeah, they had like their whole new console, and they're also talking about the new Zelda game, which no one could let go.
So that shows that I didn't pay much attention to Nintendo.
No, Nintendo's already talking about its new console. They really didn't talk very much about its details, but everyone's been talking about its new console. That Nintendo's going to try to get back into the console wars because everyone knows that after the
that'd be really weird.
Well, I know it's
Come out with some like monster specs because they've been doing this kiddie bullshit.
Well, that's the problem because everyone's been talking about it. Like, hey, man, you can't come back. Like, if you look at Nintendo, they've tried to put new IPs out, like Splatoon and all that stuff. That went to shit, right? But the thing that they've been able to successfully do is milk the dead cow from like 30, 40 years ago, which is like Zelda and Mario, right?
Yeah,
so
Mario,
they realized that they can only make money off of that. So even though that the new console is supposed to be like, they're talking about it like being a grown-up console and stuff, but they can't abandon their old like IP stuff. I think it's always going to be stigmatized as like the kid console or like the kid generation video game entry market, right?
Yeah, the Wii caused that stereotype to create because they went through and created those little people or whatever that represent you, and it was all kid games like bowling and stuff like that. I mean, before that they were trying to do some different stuff but nobody bought the GameCube or whatever. I mean, their last successful console was the N64.
Yeah. Well, actually, I don't know. Maybe it was the GameCube though, because
And some people. Did you have a GameCube?
I had a couple of some of my students now. Get this, some of my students are part of the competitive gaming league. They actually organize like competitive gaming esports leagues in Canada, right? And get this, they have to go around because one of the biggest games is the Smash Brothers on the GameCube. So when it comes to the tournaments, they can't do emulators, they can't do like stuff like that. They have to go and play up and get refurbished GameCube controllers and GameCubes, and they also have to get CRTs that are big enough for people to play because they cannot play it on a projection because there's like it gimps them out with a fraction of a second delay. So they want to make it competitive. So it's like old school, real deal. So they're finding like 40-inch, 300-pound CRT televisions to play the stuff for their tournaments. Like they're scouring all of like southern Ontario and like Quebec.
They should just head down to my dad's house.
we just at work we just got rid of our last CRT monitors like 2 months ago. So
yeah. In any event,
anyways, okay.
I just want to come back to Nintendo. So aside from the Nintendo console, which really was just speculative, the thing that they really launched was obviously the Zelda, the open world Zelda game, and that was supposed to be this is the thing that really was their chance to make it prove the point that they were actually able to go into the grown-up games, and they didn't. It still looks cartoony. Link tries to be badass. It's supposed to be the more like it's supposed to. I think the discussion was it is comparable to the transition from the 1960s Batman TV show to the Nolan, Chris Nolan Batman movie. Right. So they're saying
But you know what I think, like, they would have a chance if they built a really kick-ass console. Like, I'm talking serious specs that could play games like Call of Duty and Need for Speed and stuff, right? If the controller and the console can actually play it, because they had Call of Duty for the Wii, but the control was like bullshit.
You actually had to buy that piece of shit plastic gun or whatever.
You had to buy the gun attachment. The console wasn't strong enough to, you know what I mean? Because there are people out there who, like, if the console is strong enough to play it, like, they could get back in the game, right?
Well, then the market has moved to. I mean, the vast majority of people who are doing console gaming now aren't like Vince and I, who enjoy the campaign or whatever. They're on multiplayer online gaming, and Nintendo has just never really gotten to that point where they can do true multiplayer online gaming of hardcore games like Call of Duty, and they don't have it. Unlike Sony and PlayStation, they don't have any of those hardcore franchises like, totally went blank, like Gears of War or Mass Effect when it was still going out and stuff like that. So I mean, or Nathan Drake and God, why can't I think of that? Uncharted, yeah. God, like totally went Alzheimer's there for a minute. They don't have any of that stuff. All they have, like Vince said, is Mario and Zelda and like Donkey Kong or Mario Kart or something like that. I mean, it's like, yeah, those games were cool back in the '90s, when I was a kid. But I want to shoot something. You know what I mean? All right, so that basically takes care of the consoles.
No, it doesn't. It takes care of the crappy consoles.
All right, so wait, what did PlayStation announce? They announced. I couldn't find anything on the PlayStation when I looked.
Oh, come on, man. PlayStation, everything from the VR, it's coming out in October.
I know about the VR thing. I'm not interested in it. That's why I'm totally.
Let's talk about like the stuff they did. They did the PS4.5, like the new PS4 with the 4K stuff we were talking about. They talked about again the VR headsets. They had a couple of, and we talked about this before the show recorded, but they were one of the few people that actually had stuff that was like new IP, and like that Horizon Zero Dawn or whatever. That looks pretty badass. That could be really cool. It's and I was trying to describe it to Matt earlier. It's like it's like a combination of Dark Souls meets Last of Us meets robots and Iron Age people. Like it's just like this weird mashup of stuff, and it looks pretty badass. Finally, PlayStation's showing off and possibly announcing The Last Guardian coming out after like 7 years in development. So there's lots of cool stuff that's coming out for for the PlayStation fanboys out there, but it's just a matter of whether or not people still go for it. Like 4.5. That's a new PlayStation. That's a lot of money to spend. Even if you had a 4K television. The other thing is the VR set. They're looking at like $500 or so for price points, at least in Canadian dollars. That's a lot of money on top of an existing PS4, which would be like what, $400 there. So it's a lot of money to pay for just playing video games. So I just think it's cool stuff.
Here's what I think, right? Because when Xbox came out and they were trying to get out more out of the console gaming and into the more media center for your TV, right?
Mm-hmm.
They failed at that. That's why you haven't heard anything about it now. They kind of just relented to that. But I think with the VR stuff, there's a real chance there. It kind of like, okay, so the games will be cool to a point when you think about it, right? Like the way I think the 1.0 is gonna suck because you're gonna have those big ass goggles on your head. You're gonna look like an idiot, whatever.
Yep.
But the thing is, like, if they incorporate that into the TV, like, imagine seeing your TV shows in VR, being able to look at the guide in VR, picture-in-picture in VR. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of possibilities, but I think, they have to try and skip the 1.0 and get to a higher level.
Okay, so let me talk about VR for a second, Rick, just for a sec. See this?
Yeah.
This is part of my research project right now. This is these are the Hamido VR glasses. You put them onto your phone like this. Swear to God, it's really ghetto. I'm making all my kids in architecture get them, right? You strap this to your face. It's like a Google Cardboard, but it's like cheap, and it's for lack of a better term, it's like a strap it onto your face, and it's VR and stuff, right? This is like, if you're talking about 1.0, this is 1.0 right now, right?
Yeah.
What I feel is that gaming should elevate it, and like I've been trying out, like I got a couple of Oculus Rifts in my office, this stuff. I have all these fun newfangled stuff with VR. I'm telling you right now, all the launches, all the stuff you saw in the VR in E3, like whether it's the Star Trek game or the the Star Wars trench game, or like there's a whole bunch of talk about VR. Listen, you've seen it in the trailers, but you have to experience it to really get what makes it really cool. I'll tell you right now, it's gimmicky. It's very gimmicky right now. I have really strong doubts as to its success in its adoption. Like, I mean, they're talking about Resident Evil games and all these like spooky games, like where you play. It's just gimmicky because it'll be like it's like going into a House of Horrors or like a haunted house, right? It's one little thing and that's it. They're talking about updating a couple of other games. I don't know what they are to be VR. It's stupid. Like,
see,
entirely new, different model of gameplay when you play with VR, man.
See, that's the thing for me. I think the same thing too, right? Like everyone's going crazy about VR. Like Facebook got the Oculus. You know what I mean? But for me, I feel the same way. I feel like it's kind of like everyone's pointing to it, like it's gonna be so great. But for me, I think until they come up with something like a Google Glass kind of thing where it's so small and it's just attaches to your glasses, your existing glasses, it's not going to be what people are thinking it's, you know what I mean? Because here's the thing, when I bought my first Xbox, I paid $1,000.
Holy crap.
That was the very first Xbox. I bought a ton of games. I bought a couple of controllers. So there's people out there who will go out and buy the VR headsets, will buy the new PS 4.5 or whatever, or PS5, if it's good enough that it can interest them. That's the problem. You know what I mean? Like $1,000 today is nothing for people to drop. The point is, you have to be able to give them something for that. You know what I mean?
All right, so it sounds a lot like Kinect to me, where the accessory, it's just another accessory that you still have to have a console to play, and those hardly ever work because they're something extra that you have to buy. But enough of that. We gotta move on. So what I want to do, if you can, I want you to choose 3 games that were announced that you were interested in buying or playing. I will go first, so that you guys have a chance to narrow yours down. All right, so. One of them is God of War that was announced. It obviously is another franchise of a long franchise of things. What's interesting about this is it looks, from the trailer at least, it looks a lot different from any of the God of Wars that came before.
What, they have a partner?
Well, true, but all right. So basically, the reason why I'm so interested is because it looks so different. Because normally on the God of War front, it's a very action-based thriller. This looked boring to me, and I'm not necessarily. I just want to see more of the game. Probably wouldn't buy it. I mean, basically, if you saw the trailer, it's just the guy who's always been God of War and like his son or something.
Yep.
They like go hunting. I mean, yeah, there's like enemies or whatever, which makes the like the battles, you makes it action based, I guess. But other than that, it's just a kid and his dad out hunting. And I don't know, it looks a little. Before in the God of War series or whatever, it was all about you had this quest or mission that you were going to go through. It followed you through the whole game. You had some kind of goal for the game, whereas they didn't really show that here. So you have no idea of the plot. Anyways, so the next one I saw that I was really interested in, just mainly because it's different than what's kind of come before, is Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. It's all in space, and I probably will get it and play it just to mock it for the fire in space thing that I talked about last week.
Uh-huh.
There's no fire in space, but I'm still gonna watch it just to point and laugh at you. But it does look. I mean, we know that there's going to be no stories. The story's going to be terrible. The characters are going to be disposable as always, and it's going to jump around like a soap opera, just like all the Call of Duties before it. But I'll probably play it because it'll be the first Call of Duty that I've actually played in.
Is that Infinity Ward this year?
I don't know.
Oh, I think it is. I think it is,
yeah, because Treyarch or whatever it is was last year with Black Ops or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
All right, so the last one that I saw that I was interested in was Mafia 3. Despite this,
that hasn't come out yet already, man.
All right, so Mafia 2 was we talked about this before. It was just all cutscenes, and that bothered me. What's interesting before is the first and the second Mafia were both based in the eras where you really think Mafia, like the 30s and 40s. This is based post-Vietnam, so it'd be interesting to see. I mean, they've always had fairly good stories, which is the gameplay is what's kind of mediocre. Anyways, those are my three. Vince, your three.
Okay, I already started off by saying that Horizons Beyond Zero thing, that looks pretty damn badass, and everyone knows that I'm a sucker for that kind of, those types of games. The second game that I'd say I'm really keen on playing, and it's actually around the corner, it's Final Fantasy 15, and you guys know I'm a sucker for Final Fantasy games and role-playing games, so I'm looking forward to seeing what's going on there. It's a split for the third set. The first one would have been the... It's the DC fighting game. There was a DC Universe fighting game that they always have. The one that we
Alzheimer's.
Sorry?
Alzheimer's.
No,
Alzheimer's.
Crap. It's the DC Universe fighting game where it's basically Mortal Kombat.
Gods Among Us.
Gods Among Us. Yeah. So it's based on the comic series, but it's the second version. It looks really interesting to me because I just want to follow through on the storyline. It continues with the comics, so I'm. It's a dumb fighting game, but at the same time, it's interesting to see how they negotiate, like how you get Supergirl fighting like Harley Quinn and not dying, like that kind of stuff. And the other one that I'm really kind of keen on just seeing how it comes out, just because it's all speculative, is the new Kojima game that they just had the trailer, which is was it Stranding? Death Stranding, which is basically like after Konami let go of Kojima from doing all the Metal Gear games. I'm really hotly anticipating this as any other fanboy on what this game's going to be like. The trailer looks creepy, and that's not any surprise if any of you guys are fans of Kojima. So both those two latter games, I don't know anything about how they play. I don't know anything, but they're just like there's a lot of hype behind them, and I'm interested.
All right, Ricky, 3 for you.
So I only got 2.
That's fine.
So Watch Dogs 2,
Ugh,
because Watch Dogs looked friggin' awesome.
it
Did you
sucks.
play the first one?
But it was
I have it. It
so
sucks.
so, but there was some good stuff in there. So I'm hoping they could bring it back. And Sniper Elite 4, just because like the what they show off looks friggin' amazing. And I'm a sucker for that ever since Call of Duty.
You notice nobody said Titanfall 2, right?
You know what? Their biggest mistake was that they went solo for Xbox, and that's why they alienated all of the PS and arguably the Nintendo players. So
Well, then, from what I've read, they've kind of abandoned the first game. Like, it was supposed to be all this, downloadable content and stuff like that, and it just, I mean, yeah, they've had some, but it's not nearly as the breadth of.
But what I want to know, last year, I remember there was a game that was supposed to be only for PS4. It was like, what is it? It was like this. You're in like a notebook or whatever, and like your character. Do you guys remember that?
the Notebook, the game.
Yeah, but that looked kind of awesome. What the hell ever happened over that?
No, seriously, you wrote like a notebook or something?
No, you don't remember? It was like doodles in the notebook, right? But it was like a hardcore shooter game, and it was pretty cool. Like the whole concept of it. I'm gonna search and I'll tell you what it was called.
Sounds like dogs and ducks to me. All right, that is it for us this week. We're gonna skip picks of the week because we just picked games or whatever. If you want to follow us on Twitter, I'm at MTWB. Vince is VWHUI. Ricky, who is actually here, so we can actually follow him on Twitter, because you never know when this man might show up again. He's probably going to move again, and he'll just show up again in a couple
move. I'm never moving ever.
All right, anyways, he's Ricky_Williams1. You can follow us the podcast at The 3Cast on Twitter. You can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/The3Cast. Now, I have no clue what we're doing next week. Mainly because Ricky hasn't told me yet. So, whatever Ricky...
Well, did we do Deadpool yet?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I
So,
think
yeah, you guys will have to stay tuned.
Alright, anyways, please choose that tonight, Ricky, so that we have a week to download it and look at it, please. Alright, anyways, we will see you next week.
All right. See you guys.